Hello there guys, and welcome back to our Star Wars AT-AT tutorial here, and in this episode we're going to continue working down the leg. Now, I'm a little disappointed on the progress that I made on the last episode. Hoping to go a little bit quicker, but we've got all the general shapes in place, so we're going to be able to now move down and start creating all the other elements. So what we're going to do first is I'm just going to unsmooth all of these, so we're back to our original state. And it looks to me like in our references these are very similar sections, apart from maybe the hole there. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to duplicate what we've got here. So I'm going to grab all of these, I'm going to duplicate special, but this time just make them a copy. And then we can pull them down here. Now what we're going to want to do real quick is let's just quickly combine them into one element, and we will quickly center the pivot. What we can do is we can hold down V, and we're going to snap it exactly into the middle of the cylinder that we created before, and then we're just going to scale it down so it matches the size here. That you'll see that it sits perfectly because it was the exact same size that we did make it before. We'll just pull that down so it's roughly exactly the same spot. And then what we can do is pull it into place here. This side as well. I'm just going to scale out because I think the knee is a bit wider down here. We can do that. And then we can just simply delete that inner section now. So that's going to give us more or less the same joint here, but it's going to give us the kind of shape that we want. So what we can quickly do then is if we separate these elements away from each other, we can quickly just test the smooths, it's fine. What I'm going to do is just isolate the selection here, and we're going to undo a lot of the work that we did in the last episode for this. We're going to double click on that edge, on this edge, the two supporting edges that we made here, and we're going to delete those. And we're not just going to hit delete, we're going to go to edit mesh, and we're going to delete edge / vertices just to make sure that everything's out of there that we need. We're going to do the same for here and here. We're going to edit mesh, delete edge and vertices there as well. And what we're going to do is we are going to delete the additional information that we added here as well. So again, we can select all these edges here and delete edge and vertex, and that will allow us to just delete the aspect here that we created, the kind of protrusion that comes out there. And we're just going to do the same on this interior section as well. So we'll delete all of that information. Delete all of that. So now we're just back almost to what we had before. We can select the edges here, and does it have a protrusion in the middle? So it has kind of like a little circle. So we can edit mesh here, or we'll go to mesh and we'll fill hole, we'll do the same mesh, fill hole, and what we'll actually do is we're going to grab this edge here, this edge, and this edge, and we are going to delete the edge and vertices, and all we're going to do is we're going to add in an edge loop, and we're just going to drop it here a similar distance to this one there. I think inside here we will still have this, which we don't need now. Now on this one we could do the same here, so we could quickly do exactly what we just did with the other one here. Okay, and what we can also do is we could actually just delete our first one here. We'll keep this one just to kind of maintain a little bit more mesh. We'll just take that away. Okay, so we can quickly do a test smooth on these just to make sure that's looking good as well, which it is. Cool. And what we'll do with that is we will quickly create a new cylinder. We can quickly increase the subdivisions there to 30. Rotate it around on the z-axis here, 90 degrees. And what we'll do with this is we're just going to drag it bang into the middle here. So bring it up, scale it down. We can use our view here. Let's just bring it forward so we can see it better. We can use our dot over here, which will kind of give us a good idea of the size. Something like that. Yep, fine. And what we'll do is we will hold V and we're going to snap it exactly into the center here. You can see that that's just protruding out a little bit there, which is fine. Now, we don't want this to be a completely flat edge because that's going to look bad as we go. So we're going to select all the front facing faces here. We're going to hit Ctrl E. On the world option, we're just going to scale in and bring it forward. I'm going to hit Ctrl E, I'm just going to do the same again. Just to give it more of a rounded kind of feature. Pull that back in here. And if we check that against the smooth, we can see that that's sitting there pretty nicely. Cool. Okay, so it looks like that section there is looking good. Now our higher sections up here appear to have a lot of detail, but again that detail differs depending on the actual one that we're looking at. So here it's kind of popping out, that one's just wildly different. Here we've got these sections here just extruding out. So I think we will go for the way it looks on here, so we can see that looks okay. And we see that we've got a little extrusion out on the outside as well. So what we will do here then is we will firstly insert an edge loop, and if we try to gauge this, see on our blueprints here it's slightly different again. Oops, I think we've done that on the wrong one. Okay, awkward. Let's jump back up to the top here then. There we go, we can see what we're doing now. So, we will insert an edge loop. I'm going to go nice and close because I don't want it to start straight away. We can drag that just here. Here and here, just like we did in the wrong section there. Let's straighten this one out. Pull this one down. Now, what we could do is we could insert another edge loop here. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to grab all the faces on the front edge. So we'll go here, here, around here. maybe let's undo that. Let's go back to just before we extruded. So I'll take that back in, and I'm going to insert that edge loop again just here, and then we'll extrude again. So let's go back in to select the ones we want here. So select all these top level stuff here. I'm going to skip out on that, but I'm going to select the ones underneath, but not the edge. We'll leave the edge. But we do want not this bit, but we do want this bit. Let's make sure that we're matching. Okay, so we're going to hit Control E here, and we'll extrude this out just a little bit. And what we'll do now is we'll deselect these faces here. We'll hit Control E and we'll take these again. And the world option, take those forward just slightly. And now what we'll do is we're just going to take the ones that we want here and here. So again, we're just taking some levels, some different levels, just to kind of maximize that contrast when it comes to rendering. So we'll put those out there. So you can see now we've got quite a few different stages to that, so that's going to give us quite a nice dynamic look. So what we're going to want to do now is aim to smooth this element. So if we hit 3, we're going to see that it's going to turn into a little bit of a mess. If we remove our wireframe there, we can see that kind of along the right tracks here, but we've got a few problems going forward. So quickly going to isolate the selection here. So we're going to insert some edge loops. Now we've got to remember we went up on this side here. So before we do anything else, I'm just going to drag here and here, and then all the way up the outside edges to there. Okay. So we want to help support this line of our extrusion. So I'm going to hit 2. I'm going to try and use this view here so we can see. We're going to want to support this line here. So we can see that that's going to fold that bit up nicely there. Let's get nice and zoomed in. We are going to want to support this line here. So we can see now that that's brought that in nicely there, and this line here. Now what we could try, just put this back to 1. We want to run a line here. So that should look okay as well. So we'll hit 3. Because that's not looking too bad just there. Come away a little bit. So we're also going to want to add a line down here. Help sharpen that section. Again, we're lucky that we've got straight edges here, so we can be quite ruthless with these cross-facing edges. Drop some more in here, and I think we'll also go underneath there. Again, we can go across just here, and then we can bring one down to the bottom. Just to maintain a bit more there. Maintain here. And here. Need to maintain that line. That's so close. One above it. We're going to need to maintain that line there as well. We're also going to want to go up and down on these elements here. And again, as long as they're not going straight up, it's not going to cause us too much of an issue. Maybe put one more in here and here just to help hold. But it's important to have nice geometry throughout, not just exactly where we need it. So that's looking fairly decent for the most part. So here what we'll do now is insert a few more edge loops, go all the way up here and here. There. So see now that we're generally holding a little bit nicer just there. So it looks like we need one along the outside here. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now, the only real issue we have is we're going to need a line coming up this edge here. So what we're going to try to do is, if we grab our multi-cut, we're going to drop one. Let's see. We'll drop one exactly in the middle of this line. I will just do this as a test just now. We are going to insert an edge loop which is going to run all the way up here. We'll maybe need to do that. We'll add a line about halfway through, a dot just halfway through down there. So we can insert an edge loop, and what's going to happen is those vertices that we've just added is going to stop this running all the way up. And that means that we can now draw to this vertices and out to the one that we added. So we've got a line kind of going horizontal now. We can do the same down here. Out here. Now what we could try is inserting an edge loop which is going to go down the middle of this, so it's not going to affect too dramatically the curve of our joint. So if we pull that to here and here, Now, what we could do is cross our fingers, and we'll hope that that's going to sit quite nicely. So we see that we've still maintained that nice curve there, but we've managed to cut off the kind of squishiness that we have on this side. So that looks a lot better. So we'll do the same to this side here. Okay, so again we've managed to do the same there, so it's looking pretty good. And we'll see that our instance over here is doing exactly the same. So when we duplicated that before, it's going to be doing exactly the same up there, which is perfect. The next joint down here, let's see what's going on here. So it looks like we've got some grooves with some kind of dampers or something going up and down inside here. We've got a few grooves on the outside as well. So let's see if they're present in our front view here, which they are. Let's look, see if that's... So it looks like there's a few grooves. 1, 2, 3 lines. So it looks like there's 3 kind of grooves coming off there. So let's insert some edge loops here. So we'll have them start there and there. So we're going to have... So for our grooves we're going to need 1 line, 2 line, 3. So if we open up our tool here and we'll put in multiple. So I think we're going to need an additional 4. So we've got 2, 3. Grooved. Fine. And what we'll do before we forget actually is just change that back. So we'll quickly select our grooves here on the outside, and we will hit, what we'll do actually is, we're not going to have these run directly to the bottom here. We will cut them off just here. So 1, 2, 3. Bring those out there. And we'll do the same on this side as well. Okay, fine. We'll bring the cube back in, and this cubes is going to be what's making up the details on this section here. We're just doing this because we don't want to greatly affect this curve again. We don't want to create ourselves too much more work. So here we can increase the size. Here. And what we'll do is we'll just drop it in. Pull that out because we've got that nice inset section that we worked on before. Quite that far, something like that. And what we'll do with this is we are going to select all the edges and we will go to edit mesh and we're going to bevel those edges. Change that fraction to 0.1, boost those segments up, 4. So we see now they've got a nice design. We won't need to smooth that now, so that's just a nice section there. We'll duplicate this by hitting Ctrl D, and that'll allow us to drag it over to the corresponding section there. Now it looks like these are different sizes, so put that up like so. We'll duplicate this and we're going to bring this down. It looks like that is considerably smaller, so just like so. Just something like that. And then we'll bring this across here. And so we don't affect our bevel, we'll just pull the vertices up inside here. So now we've got what we had on the model without distorting too much. What we'll need to do is we'll need to grab all of the faces around this section, hit Ctrl E, and this time we're not going to do it on the world option, we're going to do it on the normals, the component option here. Put that out. That looks okay. Just means we'll need to bring this down here a bit lower. Okay, that looks good. So now we'll need to see about smoothing this off, but again we want to help maintain, so we're going to insert our edge loops, and the first thing we'll do is drag all the way around the inside of this extrusion and the outside. What we'll do as well is we could isolate the selection here just so that we can get in and underneath here as well. So we're gonna need to drop one here as well, all the way along the bottom of these grooves, and we'll need to drop one all the way across the top as well. Now, in order to help maintain these grooves, we're gonna need to drop all along this side as well. Okay, and we'll also want to drop on each of the grooves like so. Okay, so we can see that that's sitting quite nice and quite sharp in areas here. I think it's going to want us to drop an edge on the front here. So that's give us a nice little bit of extra depth there as well. Got the groove sitting there just nicely, which looks fine. Yeah, that looks perfect to me. So let's bring in our wireframe here. See how all these edges sit next to each other. this in next to each other really nicely, so we can kind of see. We need to get shiny material on here so we can see them a little bit better. You can kind of see that on here now we've got quite a lot of depth information. So let's just open up our Hypershade editor. And in here what we'll quickly do is we'll just create a blend. And what a lot of guys like to do is that when they've created a section that we deem completely finished, it could be a case that we drop the blend material on there. And these are generally a little bit shinier, so we can kind of see the different depths of the information inside. That's pretty good. So drop that here. And those sections there. So you can see now with that material applied how smooth those sections are, and also how much depth that we have inside this. You can see that we've got quite a lot going on. It's not going to be looking too flat, so it's not going to be looking too boring, which is good. Maybe what I'll do is I'll just increase the colour of that bit slightly. Let's just unsmooth these for now. Okay, so we've got a little bit more to crack on with on this lower section. So it looks like very similar again. We've got those grooves kicking it, and then we've just got kind of a larger inset here. You can see on the back that it does actually protrude a little bit out the back, and we've also got an extra ring on this here. So we'll do that first. So what we'll need to do is select all of these faces here. We'll extrude this out. We'll hit extrude again in the world option, bring it in. Again, bring that now towards the middle. Okay, and what we'll do before we move on is we will insert some edge loops inside here just to help maintain, so we don't forget. Okay, that should look fine. So it appears that we have details going down the rear section, which is a little bit different to what we have here, which is fine. Now it does look like what we have here appears that this needs to pop out the back as well. So we'll bring that out just there for now. So this extra bit down the back here is going to be just an extra primitive that we add. We don't need to do any additional extrusions there. All we need to do on the outside of this section is we are going to insert an edge loop, and we'll drop it in just down here. And we can see here that this is 1, 2, 3, 4 wide. So we will go into the center, 2, 3, 4. And the first thing we're going to do with this is just hit Ctrl E, and we're just going to extrude that in. And it looks like it goes in fairly significantly, not quite that much, something like that. then we want to do the same as what we did above. We're going to grab our edge loop, and we're just going to drop bits just down the other side here. We'll do a multiple of 4 again, just like we did before. We can grab these faces 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. I'll extrude those out. Let's see, does that start right off the bat? It does. Take these ones here, we'll Control E, we'll bring those out. Now, there is a little bit of angle on these, so I'll jump into our side view real quick. Grab those, grab these. I'm just going to pull those down. And when it meets the foot, it just bridges straight into this, so that's fine. Looks good. We'll bring in that box which is going to sit on the back. So we'll bring this into position here. Let's just snap it to the center vertices. Now we don't want this to be too thick because we don't want it to affect anything else. So it looks like it sits more or less on. So I'm just going to make it go over the top there. I'm going to isolate these two because we do need it to follow the curve. So firstly, we'll grab this vertices here. Let's actually isolate that. Bring that all the way down to the foot, which is fine just there. What we're going to need to do is we are going to need to create some edge loops on here. We're going to want to bring 1, 2, and 3. And we'll isolate the selection here. These. And what we'll do is delete all of the edges. We'll delete all of that section for now. And what we're going to want to do is we are going to want to snap these to the vertices just down here. Because again, we want to maintain that curve. We want this to sit inside this just nicely. We just want to make sure that we're snapped to the same vertices so we're not going to be wobbly. And get that one to the outside. Snap this one here. So snap this to the main curvature line, not the support lines that we've added in. We're going to grab it and we're going to move it down ever so slightly. Just a touch. There. And now we can reselect all the outside sections. We're going to Control E. Bold option. I'm just going to bring it in until it just meets that. There. Now this will need to be smoothed because we want it to maintain that edge. So we'll insert our edge loop here. So we want it to maintain the same curve here. Drop one in here. Down the edge here. Drop one in further down. So help maintain that corner. Just drop a few intermittently going up as well. see that's going to follow that curve nicely around there. And then move all the way down, so that's fine. Okay. What we need to do with this foot. Just pull that out just a touch so we're hiding those segments there. Okay, so we'll quickly get this prepped and ready for smoothing. So we're going to do the exact same as we did on the higher section with our grooves. Is we'll drop a point down the bottom here. We're going to want to drop a point maybe part of the way here, because we do want that to curve, so we'll maybe add that in last. Want an edge all the way at the top here for all of these points. Let's just isolate this selection real quick. So we are going to need to drop points on this outside here and the inside. Just closer, and then do the same over here. Okay. So we've got a little bit of fighting going on inside here again. So we'll grab these points. Just pull them down out of the way. Let's just see. So it looks like maybe what we'd want to do is let's just remove this line. Looks like what we actually might want to do is bring this back. So we'll remove these additional lines here that we've just added in. And here. What we'll do is we'll grab these points here and we'll delete them. We'll do similar to what we did with the foot. And we're creating areas for the little toe kind of sections. All of that. And what we'll do is we'll just merge these points together. At this point it doesn't really matter if they're more inset than they were. What we'll just need to do is drop an edge loop in there, and then we can merge these two as well. Merge those. Okay, so got a little bit of an inset there. That should help us when it comes to the smoothing sections. So it's looking okay. So what we're going to want to do then is go back and just add in those mesh edge loops that we quickly just deleted. So we'll drop one in here. So I'm just going to drop a second one there as well. It's not maintained. I'll drop one about halfway down. Should be fine. So we'll also want to insert an edge loop going through here, like so. Okay, that's pretty good. Those around there, that should be fine. So what we'll need to do now is just go around our edges up here just like we did previously. We can drop a point here and here. Do the same on the back here, which we already have. So what I'm going to do now is just run around all of these edges, putting in the correct loops, just like we did on the section above. Okay, let's give that a smooth. We'll see that that's looking pretty good. Back everything else. Looks pretty good just there. Got our section on the back. Perfect. Okay, so we're starting to look really good now in this top section of the leg, and we'll move down to the foot. So this bit looks like it's going to be a little bit annoying. We can see that we've got an interior section that we kind of need to add some kind of strut to that inside there. We've got some bolts that we need to add inside here. We've got these kind of bits that are popping off. The foot in general looks okay. I think the toes should be a fairly quick job. So firstly, as part of the foot here, it looks like we've got a section that's extruded out here. So we are going to edit this mesh. Now, before we do anything, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab these points here, grab all of these, and I'm going to Control D. So I'm going to duplicate these, and I'm just going to move them to the side here. Now the reason I'm doing this is because we want to volley on some of these things. So we're going to want to volley on a few of these things. So what that means is we want to just use what we've already got in order to extract from what we have, and then we can clean up the geometry just to make some holes for these bits, to give it a bit more detail. So we have our points inside here. What we're going to do is we're going to select this first element here, and then we are going to select the hole that we want to make essentially. So it's important that we select them in the correct order, or we'll be chopping off the wrong bits from each other. We're going to hit mesh here, we're going to hit volley on, and we're going to hit difference. So that means that the green item here is going to take away from our white item. So if we hit difference there, we can see that that has now created some geometry inside here. And we want to do the same here. So we're going to mesh, volley on, and we are going to difference that as well. And we are going to do the same here. So we're going to mesh, volley on, but what we actually want to do is we want to do it from the two. So what we'll do first is we'll volley on this one. So we'll mesh, volley on this difference. So again, it's taking a nice tube through that middle section there. And what we'll do is we'll duplicate this again, Control D. Bring this out into position over here. The channel box will tell us exactly. Maybe not. We'll pull this into position roughly, and we're going to do the same here. So we're going to select those polygons and difference. So what we've done is we've just created holes in this, in which we can add some extra geometry to. Okay, so now this one here is the one that we're going to actually add the details to, this section here, and over here what we'll do is we'll just replace this afterwards. So if we isolate the selection here, what we're going to aim to do is we're going to draw in between these elements, adding new lines of geometry. So if we go from here to here, here down to here. Okay, and then we're going to drag points from here. Let's just make sure that's in the right place. Here to here. So it's just a case of cleaning up the mesh now that we've just created in terms of those polygon elements. I think that's going to be wrong. Let's try again. Okay. And we will insert some edge loops. So if we add one to go down here, one over here, that will allow us to link this line with this one, and around here. And then the same over here. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll bring this line over here, and we can then attach it to our edge here, which is going to be a pain. Let's try from the bottom around here. Okay, let's try removing these edges here. So this is going to be a little bit of a pain, so we're just going to do what we can just now. These vertices here. So yours may have been a little bit different to mine, so what you just got to do is go through, clean up the mesh the best we can here, and also try and maintain the fact that we'll have 4 edges to each of these shapes. So try and make sure that you're trying to maintain the polygons that we have here. So drop these up like so. If we go to the edges, it would be a better shot than what we tried to do a second ago. Okay, so that's looking pretty good there. Let's see if we can get these moving between here. Okay, so before we do anything, we're going to delete all by type of history. We're going to freeze transformations. We're going to center the pivot as well. And if we just hit 3 as a quick test, if we've got a nice smooth sections here, then it looks like we've won. If you guys have any sharper points or little dodgy vertices around here, it means you haven't. So what you'll need to do is you want to go around and just make sure that everything is nicely merged. So we've got pretty lucky there, done pretty well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab both of these holes and I'm just going to increase the size of them. What I'll do is I'll select them both at once. Just increase the size. What that will do is that means that we'll be able to see that extrusion around the element that will be inside. Okay, so what we'll try and do now is we'll try and put in some mesh that is going to help us maintain these edges here. So if we go to our edge loop tool. Drop one in at the top here. Well, before we do, actually, I think what we actually need to do is we'll need to create those extruded sections here. So we'll grab one and hit Ctrl E. I'm just going to pull it out on its own normal axis, on its component axis, and we'll do the same here and here. And what we'll do now is we'll aim to insert some edge loops, which is going to help us maintain under smoothing. So we'll drop one here, one here. We need a loop here and here. Again, because that's almost perfectly straight, it's not going to be an issue in terms of how many edge loops we have going towards that section. We'll want one on either side of this, like so. Same over here. And down here. Now we'll also want to drop on the inside here. Now it's probably not going to look the best when we come around to this, so hopefully with these extrusions and the polygons inside it's going to maintain fairly well. So we'll drop a few around here. Now adding in all of those extra polygons here has come in and it's affected our shape. Now we actually do want this to be to kind of follow the shape, because it does look like it's like an inset actual hexagon. So we are going to double up on all of this information here. So it's a little bit messy here, but it should do the trick. We'll smooth that out. Just like here. What we could do is could attempt to draw around this here. Okay, so what we've done there is I drew around the outside there. It was a little bit messy, but as we can see when we smooth this off with the wireframe, we can see that Maya's sorted out a lot of the topology for us. So it may look a little bit messy, but right there, that's looking pretty good for us just now. So if you bring everything back in, what we're going to want to do is drop this one in place of what we have just now. So we can remove that and these two elements. And we'll just bring this back into position. That looks good just there. So we can see now that we've got a little area in which that's coming through, so it's going to look a little bit nice. We've got our place for our bolts in between. We're not going to do the same here, and the reason for that is because there's far too many faces inside there to manage, so I'm just going to leave that as is. So if we have a quick look at this, we can see that we've got a few grooves inside there. So that's the first thing we'll do. We will insert some edge loops. We're going to drop them in where the grooves roughly are. Let's have a look again. Fine. And that'll be fine. And the grooves stop just above the bolt. So we'll drop that here and here. So we'll grab this, select them all. We won't select any of the bottom elements. So, what we'll actually want to do before we do that is, if we remember, we extruded down here, but we will want to fill this hole first, and it'll make sense just to fill it whilst we've got barely any geometry here. So we'll edit mesh, mesh and fill hole. Okay. And then we'll do the same here. And now we'll insert the edge loops for those grooves. So, looks good. Looks good. And we'll stop that just above the actual part there. So we'll grab all of this, and now it's going to select the rear faces, which we'll deselect because we'll want to do those separately. And then we'll also deselect any of these lower faces here. Okay, we'll do a quick Control E. We'll take that in just here. We want to do the same now. Let's isolate this selection. We want to do the same along the top. Just here. And this time we'll hit Control E and we'll do that on the component option. Just there. And I assume we're going to want to do it on the rear as well. So let's put these here. Hit Control E, and on the board option we'll just take that in quick. Okay. So on here we will grab our Insert Edge Loop tool and we'll drop them to support all of these edges. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So I just added edge loops all the way around the defined edges that we would need inside that section. I think just about got everything there. What we can do is drop one around the outside as well. So we have on the inside section there. Okay, it's looking pretty good. And then finally it looks like we're going to do the foot here for this episode. It shouldn't take too long. We will quickly insert some edge loops across the top. Actually, before we do that, let's grab all those top faces nice and easily. And we'll just, on the scale, extrude real quick. We'll just pull them in just to give us an extra line of support at the top. Can insert some edge loops here. here. Goes here. That will allow us to support there. And here. One around here as well. Okay. And then we can insert some edge loops to support this area here. Okay, so we've got our nice little insets looking pretty good down there. All of the foot's looking good as well. Okay guys, so we'll leave that there. That looks like we've got almost the whole leg complete. We've got an additional section to add at the back and then the toes here, but I think we'll throw that together in the next episode. Okay guys, cool.